Hello everybody. Okay, this video is for Black Hat 2005 and Mind Over Matter, who requested a little more information about a story that I alluded to in a recent video earlier today. And in the video I talked about at the tail end, I left a little Easter egg there. Hey, a term from the old software years. An Easter egg talking about the dead people that my wife had discovered in an island in Okinawa. So here's the story. A long time ago, Yumiko and I took a ferry boat ride down to a small island in Okinawa, and a very tiny little place. You could ride a bicycle entirely around the island in an afternoon, and had a small little village in where the people lived, and there were farms, and there was the only tourist attraction there was a cave, operated by a family, and a little tiny hotel, and I think there was even one restaurant. Anyway, we were there. There weren't very many tourists, but we had run into a German couple that somehow had wound up on the island just as we had. And one afternoon we decided to ride bicycles around the island. There was a reef that covered a good portion of the island, protected the shore, made some great places for diving, but the reef was absent on the one half of the island. Rugged coast with the waves crashing against the shore. Really nice. So we were riding our bicycles along, and we decided to stop and have a snack at this one bend in the road. And we were eating our snacks, and Yumiko finished and decided to go take a little explore behind where we were sitting in the bushes there. It was pretty heavy shrubberies. I like saying shrubberies. And it was, it's like tropical. Anyway, she got back there, and she wasn't back there for just a little while before we heard her yell out, "Ah, there are dead people back here." Dead people? Gee. So our two German friends and I jumped up and went back there, and sure enough, Yumiko said dead people, but it really wasn't dead people, it was skeletons. There was a cave back there, a pretty big cave, and the entire floor of the cave was littered with white bones, clearly human bones. I mean, skulls and every kind of thing you could imagine. There must have been dozens of bones sets. I don't know, it went way back, and the skeletons littered the floor all throughout. And clearly human bones. We were all quite upset by that. Later, when we got back to the hotel, we asked the people that ran the hotel, and they didn't know it, or they didn't want to tell us anything they knew about it. But the next day we decided to go visit the cave that the island was famous for. And there was one old grizzled old man in a hard hat that ran the cave. He was the operator, and he basically took your 200 yen or whatever it was, don't fall over, and pat you on the back and say, be careful down there. I mean, this cave was like a family-run type of a thing, plastic, tape, saying don't fall off this edge, to a drop, and areas down there where he said no one had ever explored. I mean, it was a real adventure. It wasn't sealed off at all in any capacity. So we went down there inside the cave, and when we came back, we had a great time down there. When we came back, the old man there was nobody else there, and so we talked to him a little bit. Yumiko did, and we asked him about what we had discovered the day before, and he kind of got this look on his face like, so you found the cave, eh? And he wasn't interested in keeping any secrets. He was just startled that we had found that. And he told us the story. He said that back in the old days, that on the island, on that particular island, and he said that this was pretty much the practice throughout those islands. He said when there was a disease going around, or when someone got really sick, or couldn't care for themselves, or very old, what would happen is that they would be basically taken or sent to the cave. And the idea was that you stayed in the cave, and if you came out, great, you were fine. But if you never emerged, then that was the end. And the bones that we had seen in the cave were those people who had become sick or old or infirm or whatever the case, some disease going around, and they were sent to the cave and never came out. So it was basically a form of disease control, and in some ways, selection out of those who were too weak to survive. Now, what's interesting to me, particularly interesting, is how this tradition, this man told us, jibes with the sometimes mythologized? Is that a word? the myth in Japan of abandoning grandma. You know, if you watch Japanese movies and you're familiar with Japanese culture, there's kind of the story of the grandmother who couldn't care for herself anymore in the winter, and the family's starving, and you know, there's not enough food to go around, and you know, what are we going to do? And they elect to you know, throw Granny volunteers to do this. You know, Granny on the back of her son, her oldest son, who carts Granny off to the dying spot. You know, overhang over in the snow, and just leaves her there to die. And you know, that's kind of most Japanese, I think, like to think of that as a myth. But places like that cave, and the fact that the man told us that this was a pretty common, basically said this is how we did things back in the day, lead me to believe that that was probably more true than not. I mean, people lived on the edge back in the old days, and when you got to the point that, you know, you think about, there's other cultures that do that. And I think the Inuits, isn't it what they say about, you know, the old people going out into the snow and never coming back, you know, food for the polar bears? It's a very uncouth way to say it. I don't mean it that way. I mean to be as respectful as I possibly can. But I found a nice place. Maybe there's no wind here. So this concept of disposing, because essentially that's what it is. Well, that's a hard word as well. I don't like using these hard words. Of unceremoniously removing from the society those who can no longer contribute, whose time has come, or who are a danger if they're diseased and it's something that could spread, seems to be a pattern that has existed in cultures around the world. And I believe it's existed here. I have first-hand evidence and a testimony in my own experience in life. That cave still exists there. It's not a tourist attraction. The man was not about to publicize it. I suspect that others knew about the place, but no one really wants to talk about it. It's kind of a secret. I wouldn't be surprised if there are caves like this around here. You see this man over here watching me? Nowhere in Japan are you ever that you're not being watched. And I'm sure that there may be places in this neighborhood as well where that occurred. It's a mystery to me. I don't know. There you go, Black Hat and Mind Over Matter. I hope that satisfies your curiosity. I'm glad I have a chance to tell the story. I'm glad to hear that you guys are interested. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. And I'm not going to disclose the name of the island or the location or anything like that. I'm going to leave that place a secret. Let the bones lay where they will. I might take chances with people discovering abandoned houses, but I'm not going to take chances with people discovering the gravesite of those who died in such a fashion. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.